Hey, it's fair to say Victoria Police aren't exactly known for their sense of humour. Take a look at this moment from the MCG test as punters at the cricket are just trying to have a bit of fun. So, Will, they're at the MCG. It's a hot day. There's not much happening on the field. So they've got all the plastic beer cups together and they're chanting, you can't stop the snake. They've made a beer cup snake. But apparently, you're not allowed to do that. The police break it up. Are the fun police ruining everything in this country?
Well, James, I am more and more reminded of the old line that we were descended from convicts, but we were also descended from jailers. I don't blame the police here. I think we need to have a look in the mirror as a society. I think what COVID demonstrated, I think what this stuff increasingly demonstrates is that far too many of us are comfortable with this sort of soft authoritarianism. We need to have a conversation as a society and say, look, do we want to get back a bit of that old anti-authoritarian, laid-back, no-worries mentality that was once what Australia was known for, or are we comfortable with this sort of nonsense, this sort of authoritarianism for the sake of authoritarianism? My bigger worry than having zealous police officers is that far too many Australians actually support this type of stuff.
Parnell, I'm not sure if you're a sporting fan or not, but maybe that video says less about the police than it does about cricket.
Well, I think people having fun at a game of sport is okay by me. And really, I mean, you saw the expression on that policeman's face when he interrupted the snake. I just thought, what a spoil sport. You know, give these guys a bit of fun. It's just a game, and they weren't getting in anybody's way. This was a matter of overreach, in my opinion. And we do have to, I'm not sure that Australians ever were the larrikins that we pretend we were, but maybe that is aspirational. You know, maybe that sort of national character that we believed we had is something that we could all together aspire to become, even if we never were it in the past.
I reckon you might be right about that. Hey, an alarming poll by the Daily Mail has revealed 1 in 5 young Americans have a positive view of Osama bin Laden. Now, this comes after bin Laden's letter to America went viral on TikTok recently. If you didn't catch that, have a look.
This letter, it becomes apparent to me that the actions of 9/11 and those acts committed against the USA and its people were all just the buildup of our government failing other nations.
The way this letter is going viral right now is giving me the greatest sense of relief.
So I just read a letter to America, and I will never look at life the same. I will never look at this country the same.
Parnell, if you'd told me at the start of this year that by December we'd be talking about how 1 in 5 young Americans is fawning over Osama bin Laden, I would never have believed you.
I know, that was the shock of this year, wasn't it? It's incredible to me, and yet not incredible, because if you think about the sort of things that we've allowed people to be taught, and I guess, you know, the great thing about liberal democracy is that we do criticise ourselves. We look at our own society and we say this is what's wrong. But what we've forgotten to do, and certainly the ways in which these kids have been failed in America, is nobody's told them, you know, as well as criticising society, look at all of the great things that this society has achieved. Look at the freedoms that America has that aren't available to people elsewhere in the world, certainly not where Osama bin Laden came from. I think that there is a real sort of missing piece of education there that has laid the groundwork for these kids to have such a twisted idea of the world that they live in that they now think that Osama bin Laden was making sense.
Just before we go, Will, if we're in an existential crisis right now, and it's not just about what's happening in the Middle East, but literally it's about Western civilization fighting for its values, how do we do that when 1 in 5 young Americans have those kinds of attitudes?
Courage, in a word, James. The only cure for cancel culture is courage culture. we need to be okay with being proud of Western civilization. There are too many people that say you're racist if you stand up for the values of Western civilization. We need to be strong enough to say that that is nonsense. There is so much good in our history, and we need to be proud of that fact, and we need more people in more positions of power who are selling that message.
Will and Parnell, thank you for your time.